We're going to talk about prospecting today, Jacob, creating your own leads, having as many conversations with potential sellers and folks that you want to get in front of. And so when you talk about prospecting, it kind of hurts, right? Like it's a little bit tougher to do at times, but man, when you do it and you start having success and it starts snowballing, man, it feels good. So anyways, to set the table, everybody, my name is Tyler over here at Wholesale. I have my counterpart, Paige Clark, on the phone, or on here with us as well. Hi, Paige.
Hello.
And I'm super excited to interview Jacob Blank today. He's been a longtime client of ours, using our product for years and years. We've forged a partnership as well with some of the training and coaching that Jacob's doing, and where he can teach his audience, his network, how to use the same tools that are bringing him success, and Coal Information, Coal Realty Resources is one of those tools. So a little session framework, everybody. We're going to do a little Q&A with Jacob. I'm going to keep everybody unmuted. When you start getting hundreds of people on a webinar, you just got to keep everybody unmuted, but we will open it up for Q&A at the very end. We probably won't monitor them at the very beginning, but at the end we'll open up for Q&A as well. And hope we have everybody's attention here for about 20 minutes. We're not going to be on here for hours or anything like that, about 20 minutes long as well. Just a quick summary of Coal. We have been around forever. So if you guys have ever heard of us, we were known as having the big blue crisscross directories that we printed for years and years and years. We're that same company, okay? But obviously online. And what we are is a platform for you to create your own prospect list 24/7. So we provide cell phone numbers and emails tied to addresses and properties, right? Where you can go in by zip code or neighborhood, maybe narrow it down by length of residence or the age of the person, download your list to Excel and get their phone number, their cell phone number, their email where available, and that sort of information that you then can call people, email people, have conversations with them, okay? That's what we do. If you want to learn more about our partnership with Jacob and the discounted rate that you can get by mentioning him, and we'll get into all those details here in a bit, but we have a landing page specifically for Jacob called partner.coinformation.com/unlimited. We'll put that in the chat box, or it's on the screen here as well. So that being said, Jacob Blake, how are you?
I'm doing good. How about you?
Good. So super excited to jump on another webinar like this. We did one. It's crazy with COVID. All the years fly by, but I think it's almost been 2 years since we did this, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe.
I think we did our first one 2 years ago, and I think we did one about a year ago. So
about a year ago, oh, right?
Yeah.
And both of them, we had a huge turnout for both, like we do again today. Yep. But then, the on-demand viewing of some of these videos that you put on different platforms have kind of exploded. So we wanted to jump on together and just kind of talk about, what you're doing and kind of going through the formulas that you're implementing to have success. So tell me a little bit about yourself, Jacob.
Yeah. So I started my real estate journey when I was 16. I'm almost 20 years old now. Last year we did $2 million in revenue wholesaling real estate. So I know what I'm doing. I got a big team. I'm pretty sure everybody watching already probably knows who I am. But one of the main reasons why I've been able to become so successful and do so good in the real estate space was because of Coal Realty Resource. If it wasn't for this data, I don't know that I would be here today preaching to you guys on how to do the same, how to build success in real estate, if it wasn't for this data. And so that's why I love bringing it to your guys' attention. And like you said, some of those videos that I've put out of these webinars after they went a little bit viral and got thousands of views. And I've gotten so many messages back from my followers telling me how much this data source has changed their business, how much this data source has made them monetarily with deals. And that's why I'm just so excited again to do another one of these and bring it to your guys' attention. So my main things with Coal and why it's been so beneficial to me is because with wholesaling real estate, it's pretty competitive. So you got to call a lot of homeowners to get a deal. You got to knock a lot of doors. You got to make a lot of calls. It's about volume. And in order to be successful, you got to do a lot of outbound marketing, a lot of volume with your outbound marketing. And in order to do that, it could cost you thousands of dollars, so much money to buy a big list of seller leads. But with Cole, you're able to get into a package where you can get unlimited data with phone numbers for under $1,000 for the whole year in your market. So I believe with today's discount that we're going to give everybody watching, you're able to get it for like $600 and some dollars. And you're able to pull millions of records, millions of motivated seller lead records with phone numbers with this service. And that is what is so crazy about Cole, what is so special about it, and what sets it apart from every single other data provider in the space. That's what I think.
No, you're right. And that's kind of our bread and butter. Our niche is unlimited, right? So we have, there's other data sources that might be out there, but you might be paying, 25 cents per record or $5 per record, or even more for like these hot leads that you're paying hundreds of dollars for, but then you're just chasing them and they're not going anywhere, right? So what we've always done, the reason we can do this is being around here for 70 years, we have all these different data partners that we're working with together to provide this resource to everybody. And prior to technology, prior to the internet, we put this all in a printed book, right? Where you couldn't limit somebody by a book that they bought. So it would have all of the streets in a city in alphabetical order. So for example, in Phoenix, you buy a Phoenix directory, look up the street and find everybody on Patterson Street. They'll tell you 501 Patterson, 502 Patterson, 503 Patterson, give you their phone number, how long they live there. So the concept, everybody, of reaching out and calling people and talking to people hasn't changed. That's sales 101. Yeah. And that's why a company like us has been around for 7 decades, right? Now we've reinvented ourselves over the years. We're not an old school printed book. And we actually, Jacob, side note, January 1st, we stopped printing our directories. So for, I think it was 74 years. Wow. We printed these crisscross directories, but obviously it's online now, but we're not nickel and diming you. We're not capping you. You get statewide access. And with the promotion we have going on right now, it is $695. So normally it's $995 a year. Anybody that mentions our partnership together, they get a $200 discount. But by the end of February, if you purchase by the end of February, it'd be $695 a year. I'll log in and just show everybody how it works, Jacob. But while I'm doing that, what do you do with the data? Can you talk about that, right? Like, okay, you talk about, hey, we could download millions of records. Yeah. But people, maybe can we talk through that?
Yeah, so awesome. What I do with the data is rudimentary. It's old school, just like how you guys have been around since you were printing out lists onto books directory and selling it to people. So as you guys can see, they've been in the data business since before all of us were in the business, before they've been doing this. So that's why they're a trusted source for me. And then what do I do with it? I cold call it. So I have 30 cold callers. So I need a lot of data. And if I was going to buy millions of records, it would cost me $100,000. And, that cuts down my profit for the whole year. That makes my marketing costs go through the roof. And so I'm able to pull enough data from this source at an affordable cost to provide all my cold callers enough leads to call. And so that's what I do with the data. I upload it to a dialer. My callers are on the dialer and we cold call the list.
Right. So awesome. So for example, I know we prepped maybe for 5 minutes before this webinar, right? And one of the things that you said, hey, well, make sure to just show them my favorite search that I like to use with Cole. So guys, essentially you're going to get statewide access, unlimited searches, unlimited downloads. If you need additional states, just talk to one of our reps and we have different plans on that as well. But you could go in and narrow it down by a zip code, right? So I'm gonna do that now. I'm gonna narrow it down by people who own their home. And then we could also narrow it down by maybe income levels, home values, what vehicles people drive, right? What interests they have. A lot of that doesn't matter in this situation, right? But just kind of think outside of the box of maybe other micro marketing ideas that you might be able to do. But I'm gonna say I want everybody who has been there for at least 15 years.
Now we're saying they've been there for 15 years. So that way we know they probably have a lot of equity because they've lived in the property a long time. They've paid down the mortgage. Now they have a lot of equity. So that's why this is one of my favorite lists to pull from Cole.
Right. So at my fingertips, just like that, was 1,074 records that met my criteria. All these people own their home, been there at least 15 years, and they have at least one phone number. Sometimes we'll have a couple of phone numbers tied to the record, but at least one phone number. And then to make the data actionable. And then these have, if you have an email to go with it as well, an email will be provided. And then from here, I just download my list, put it right into Excel, and boom, I'm off and going and go and do the next zip code.
Can you show them advanced options? Because that's where we're able to filter this down a lot more too. We're able to get the square footage, how many beds, bathrooms, assessed value, tax assessed value, estimated value. We're able to get, the building materials. So if you're searching, say you have a special buyer that will pay you a ton of money for certain properties and they have a buy box criteria, you're actually able to go through here and get the exact type of properties in the area that buyer's buying with the exact criteria that they want and market to that. And now you're marketing to your best buyer. So every single deal you're going to get is going to be what that buyer wants, that buyer will pay you tons of money for. So you're able to do stuff like that. You're able to avoid stuff like $1 million houses that have 5 bathrooms, because that raises your remodel cost. And you know that you're not going to be able to wholesale those deals. So just like some of those other data providers out there, you're able to really filter this down to an ideal motivated seller list for you to market to.
Right. Or in this case, even like age, adding the age of the person. Maybe, because when you are doing your outbound efforts, you might want to know ahead of time how old they are, right? Just because it will tailor your messaging as well. Or maybe you want to prioritize anybody who's above the age of 80. I'm going to call
because they might need to sell. They might be, going to an old age home. Who knows?
Correct.
So for wholesaling, you're able to target the elderly people through this, which is awesome.
Right. And maybe you decide later on, you know what, Tyler, that list was too small. So for this zip code instead, I want everybody who owns their home, but now I've been there for at least 5 years, right? Because I know that everybody has equity in their homes right now because home values have just gone sky high over the last 5 years, right? So I'm going to say I want everybody who's been 5 years in a combination of all possible records. If they have a phone number, if they have an email, I want them all. I want anything. So now that list went from 1,000 records or 1,200 records up to 8,200 records that we could reach out to as well, right? And then, because maybe we have an email for them, but we don't have a phone number for them. Well, then you can reach out to them via email. But everything that we talk about is this multi-channel approach. Call the people you can call, email the people you can email, door knock, doing events, right? Just get your name out there and have conversations with people.
Yep.
The other thing that we can do, sorry to interrupt, Jacob.
One more thing too is you can pull multiple zip codes at once, but it will only let you pull out it's 15,000 records per search. So you are able to pull out millions of records, but you got to do it 15,000 by 15,000 by 15,000 and then put it all in one list. And that's how they're able to provide this to you, where you're able to save a ton of money because you got it's a little bit tedious, but you can have like a virtual assistant do it. Or even I remember when I didn't have virtual assistants and I was first starting out, I sat there for 2 hours and I pulled like 500,000 records in 2 hours. So it's easy.
Yep. We have to have some speed bumps in there, essentially, right? Like otherwise we'll just kill our servers if everybody's trying to download 1 million records at once per se. So the other switch I wanted to show everybody would be by neighborhood. And the reason I think that this is so important is that you guys know the areas that you might want to focus on, right? So it could be a neighborhood where you've had a few transactions already, and you just want to let all the neighbors know about what you've been doing in the neighborhood. Maybe you do a little research and you just realize it has a lot higher turnover rate or more distressed properties in that neighborhood, right? Well, you can go in here and we'll ask you for a starting point address within that neighborhood, right? So I'm going to go in here and put in a starting point address. Okay, so hold on tight. All right, so I'm going to put in this starting point address, hit confirm homeowner, and then hit all possible records as well. So we'll find that specific address for us to use. And now I can do a radius around it or map around it as well. So I'm mapping around. This gives you a visual. You guys, you know the area, right? So I can say, hey, I want everybody on this side of the elementary school, on this side of the lake, over here on this side of the Lutheran church, on this side of the lake, right? Just start mapping it out. Because now when you do your outreach and you mention something that's specific to that neighborhood, right? So during your outreach in the email, you mentioned Edenton South subdivision. Guess what? You get a really high open rate that way. When you're making phone calls and you mention a lake in the neighborhood, or you mention their neighbor at 505 Apple Street, that means something to them, right? So my list is going to be populated right now. And here we have, 2,300 records in that specific neighborhood that I want to go after. So it's just another way to take the data and have conversations with it to make it actionable. So those are the two main searches, Jacob. Anything else you want to add? What else? What are some golden nuggets you can share with us?
I just sent out into the chat a document that actually has my training that I give to my virtual assistant on how to pull the data. So make sure you guys click that link in the chat. That'll teach you how I pull it. And yeah, there's just so many different things you can do. Say you get a good deal in this certain zip code. Say you get a good deal in this certain neighborhood, and you want to market to that area again because you just made $40,000 on a deal right there, and you know your buyer is going to want another deal there. Go ahead and target that neighborhood. And this stuff takes like what, 10 minutes maximum to go ahead and target the area that you just got a deal in. So like, there's just so much you can do with it. And it just saves you so much money, which is just unbelievable. Because I remember when I first was getting started, and I was trying other data sources. I was trying a bunch of different data sources because I didn't know what was best, I was just starting out. And I would buy a list and there would be no phone numbers. And then I'd have to go pay somewhere between 6 cents to 13 cents to skip trace it to get phone numbers. Now I was into like a 15,000 record list for like $2,000. And that's like not even that many people to call. And so when I found this and I saw, hey, it's quality, hey, it works, hey, I'm getting deals from it, I realized, wow, I can expand my marketing drastically because now I have the data that I need in order to do it. And it was a game changer for me.
100%. Love it. Love it. So again, guys, we have a landing page specifically set up for anybody in the network of Jacob Blank. Super easy. It's partner.coleinformation.com/unlimited. And Paige, what was the promo code again that we have? Is it just Jacob 300?
Yep, for $300 off, good through February 28th.
Yep. So normally it's $200 off. You get an extra $100 off if you buy by the end of the month. You can go to this landing page and purchase here, and you can request even some additional information if you want one of our inside sales reps to reach out to you, maybe give you more of a demo, answer any other questions you might have as well. And we're glad to support any other questions you guys might have. So that being said, I'd like to open it up for any Q&As that folks have as well. I'll kind of look at the chat box.
Somebody said, how do you pull lists for hedge funds with Cole? So that's like what I just said. Once you pull out your list, let's say you want them to have some equity. So you pull 5 years plus residence. So the homeowner has some equity. Then you're going to go to advanced options when you're on the export sheet. And then you're going to choose, does that hedge fund only want properties with 3 bedrooms, 2 baths? Then have your list export with those advanced options of showing you bedrooms and bathrooms. And now once you have the list exported, you're going to open it up in Excel. And now you're going to filter that list on Excel to remove all the properties that have less than 3 bedrooms, that have less than 2 bathrooms. So that way, or you can even do it on the front page.
Or on the front page here. Yeah. So that's some of the demographics you could search by. So I could actually add number of bedrooms, rooms, bathrooms on the select as well. So when I did a query ahead of time and picked a zip code, it only bring up, households with 3 or more bedrooms to it.
And then you don't have to filter it after.
Yep.
So it already filters it for the front. So that's how you'd filter for those hedge funds with Cole. Most of the hedge funds want 3-2, like 1,000 square feet minimum properties. So that's how you do that. Can you pull lists nationwide? I remember years ago, my dad got a nationwide access from you. Are you still doing stuff like that?
We do. It's just a different pricing, right? So if that's the case, guys, reach out to us if you're interested in a nationwide plan. We have plans if you want to, 10 states, 25 states, 50 states. Pricing's unique, and I'd like to talk about that offline,
Yeah.
But if you're but the plan that we're talking about is a one state access. And then, if you're in Kansas City, and which borders Missouri and Kansas, we'll just do both for that same price, right? Like it'd be included as well. One of the questions we get asked a lot about, Jacob, too, is like, where does the data come from? Like, where's it pulling from? So, we get our data from 60 different silos that we're essentially stitching together all the time and then updating quarterly on our end. Deed data is kind of the base file, right? So you think of all the assessors' deeds across the country, but you can't get somebody's cell phone number from the deed. You can't get their email address from there. You can't call T-Mobile and ask for their phone number. So you're working with third-party data sources to get that data. So you think as a consumer, if you went and got your oil changed on your car, you bought a warranty on something that you purchased, you bought something online, you bought, scuba diving gear, right? Different data companies, that gets compiled, we buy it, put it together. So that's kind of how it is. And then we do score it behind the scenes. So then you guys can decide, do you want the best data? Well, okay, then pick head of household. It's going to narrow it down to one person per household, but it's going to be the most accurate. Or some people tell me, what, Tyler, I want any human who might have a phone number or an email that they'll answer. And we give you the opportunity as well to say, hey, give me a list of all records, past and present that might be tied to that address. So that's a main question.
Does it work in Utah?
Nationwide, all 50 states, and there's not a state that's like better or worse than others. It's again, we've had customers in all 50 states for the last 70 years.
Someone wants to know, does it work for multifamily? I know it works for small multifamily, but I think he's wondering 100 to 300 units, stuff like that.
So it's not going to tell you, like if you wanted to know the tenants of the building, you could do that, right? Or if you knew there was a line of condos on Surfside Drive, we'll just type in that street and try to find all the condos, the townhome owners, whatever it is. Definitely you can do that. But we're not going to tell you who owns the apartment building. And a lot of times that's what people want. And we're not going to have that information. I'm not sure where you could actually find that.
Sweet. Someone said, I'm 19 also. I just closed my second deal for 45,000. Congrats, bro. And he said, I'm signing up for sure. No doubt. Congrats, bro. I think this will help you get your third, fourth, fifth, all the way to your 100th deal. So
love it. Love it. Well, that being said, Jacob, like I said earlier, I always think short and sweet. We cover everything. If you guys have more specific questions, you can always reach out to us. Again, the landing page here for Jacob is on the screen at partner.wholeinformation.com/unlimited. Jacob, thank you so much. Yeah. Again, we appreciate this partnership. We appreciate you being a customer as well. Any advice for us?
No other advice. Just definitely, I would get this if I were you. It changed the game for me and my business. And if you have any questions, feel free to DM me on Instagram or text me at that number that's in my Instagram bio. And also feel free to just reach out to their team and they'll help you out. I'd definitely look into it. Everybody that's on the call, I would definitely look into it.
All right. Well, thanks so much for your time, everybody. I know everybody's so busy, so I appreciate you dedicating some time for us, and have a great rest of the week.